A warning shot echoed through that hearing room, so sharp, so unexpected, that for a moment everyone froze. It wasn't just another tense exchange, not another partisan jab, not another rehearsed soundbite. It was something far rarer in Washington, a moment where the truth slipped through the cracks, where conflicting stories collided in real time, and where one simple question set off a chain reaction exposing just how tangled the Epstein narrative has become. And if you blinked, you missed the exact second the entire room realized the story they'd been told for years didn't match the testimony being given now. What unfolded next wasn't loud or chaotic. It was quiet, almost casual, but that's what made it even more jarring.
And there are extremes on the right, and we collectively should tackle that. But to come here and just look at us and say we all support what's going on in the extremes is why we can't solve anything in this building. Director, let me say first, thank you for being here, and my condolences on the loss of your friend. And I'm happy to hear that you want to do more on the social media platforms. Okay, it's crazy what's going on the social media platforms. There are so many conspiracy theories on what's going on with Charlie Kirk. Israel assassinated him, right? There are conspiracy theories about your personal social life all day. It is totally rampant. Big names on the right, Candace Owens, right? Talking about how what's been released as far as the dialogue between the perpetrator and his roommate is manufactured by the FBI, manufactured by the administration. It is totally rampant, allowing foreign governments to just perpetrate these platforms, all of these bots, all of the time to weaponize Americans. You see what's going on here? This is a byproduct of all of that. What's going on in the streets is a byproduct of all of that. What's happening is you see people celebrate Luigi Mangione is a byproduct of all of that. And so if we want to do something, then we should talk about Section 230. We should talk about how we're going to make sure that we don't let foreign governments poison our children's mind. And so I will work with you on that, Director.
I'll work with you on 230 any day.
No problem. So now, that was the good part. I want to take your attention back a second, okay? Breaking news. Kash Patel is nominated to be the FBI director. Dan Bongino is nominated to be the number 2 at the FBI. MAGA celebrates, rejoices, bells are ringing out. The team, Patel, Bongino, that sought out every podcast microphone to talk about the Epstein list. The names are finally going to get released. It begins. They produce white binders. Phase 1 with the podcasters. This is not actually one of them, of course. I made this. Your name's on it, right? And the names are going to come out. Pam Bondi says the list is on her desk. Then a memo comes out all of a sudden and says, there's no list. Oh, no phase 2. Phase 2 binders never happen. You said the conspiracy theories around Epstein just aren't true. They never have been. And yesterday, in an answer to Senator Kennedy, you said the FBI is not in possession of any credible evidence that Epstein trafficked girls to anyone but himself. So according to your testimony yesterday and in this committee, according to the evidence the FBI has, the number of names on the list are 0.
No,
zero.
The index has been released, and the number of people involved in that trafficking operation were charged in 2018.
Other than Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, your testimony in the Senate and here is that according to the evidence you have, the number of other names is 0.
That were charged based on credible evidence.
Well, who are the other names? Give me the other names that weren't charged.
We are not releasing the names of anyone because the Department of Justice never does that of anyone that didn't have any credible information to attack them.
Let me move forward. The president has, you've seen the picture of the woman's body with the writing and the president's signature. The president says that's not his, okay? President says it's not his. The Republican colleagues say it's not his. The administration say it's not his. Will you be opening up an investigation into the Epstein estate for putting out a fake document with the president's signature linking him to the world's largest pedophile ring? Will you be opening that investigation into that?
On what basis?
On what basis? They literally put out a fake document, according to the president, with a fake signature. It's a forgery of the president of the United States signature. That's the basis.
Sure, I'll do it.
Okay, I look forward to that investigation. Am I over? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate your diligence.
Gentleman's time has expired. Chair.
Because for years, the public has been fed a promise that the truth would come out, that the files would be opened, that no one would be protected. Entire audiences were told the list is coming. The binders are real. Phase 2 will expose everything. Influencers pushed it. Commentators repeated it. Politicians hinted at it. And one of the voices fueling that expectation was Kash Patel himself, someone who once suggested the truth would eventually break open. But in one hearing, with Patel under oath, that whole narrative suddenly vanished. In its place came a quiet statement that according to federal evidence, the number of other names tied to Epstein's operation was exactly 0. The word 0 hit like a punch to the chest. You could practically feel the air shift as everyone remembered all the past promises, all the hints, all the "just wait, it's coming" comments that now seemed to evaporate in a single breath. And just when it felt like the contradictions couldn't get stranger, the next twist dropped, one that shook the room even harder. A photo began circulating online, an alleged birthday card featuring a woman's body, with words written across her skin, and a signature claimed to belong to a former president. The former president says it's forged. Allies say it's fake. Officials say it's fabricated. And that alone should have triggered immediate alarm. Because if someone forged a document tying one of the most recognizable political figures in America to the world's most notorious trafficker, that should spark a full-scale investigation. Instead, when Representative Jared Moskowitz asked Kash Patel whether he'd open an investigation into the Epstein estate for allegedly releasing a forged document, Patel's response wasn't outrage, wasn't urgency, wasn't concern. His first words were, "On what basis?" When the basis was explained, a forged signature tied to a global scandal, Patel finally agreed, but only after pressure, and delivered the answer almost casually. "Sure, I'll do it." That offhand tone said more than the words themselves, because this exchange wasn't just about a questionable document. It was about a bigger pattern Moskowitz exposed: the sudden reversals, the shifting narratives, the gap between what Kash Patel once implied publicly and what he now states under oath. And that gap is wide. It started with the binders, Phase 1, Phase 2, the documents Patel and others once hinted contained everything. According to years of public talk, these binders supposedly held names, networks, movements, connections. They were described with an air of secrecy, importance, even inevitability. One day, the public was told they would come out. But when Moskowitz confronted Patel during the hearing, Patel denied everything. "There is no list," he said. "There are no additional names," he said. "No credible evidence beyond Epstein and Maxwell," he said. 0. The way he said it, calm, flat, unbothered, contradicted the years of expectation he and others helped build. There was no explanation for the past hints, no clarification for the binders, no acknowledgement of the public's expectations, just a smooth erasure of everything that came before. But Moskowitz pressed harder, walking Patel through his own timeline, past interviews, old claims, public statements. He contrasted that with the sworn testimony now being given. The contradictions were impossible to ignore. And then came the forged birthday card moment, the one that exposed the double standard. If it had been any other political figure's signature allegedly forged and released publicly, the reaction would have been immediate. There would have been press conferences, emergency statements, demands for answers, investigations. But here, Patel didn't even consider action until cornered. That hesitation, that selective urgency, exposed something deeper about how certain scandals are handled. And this wasn't just about Congress. Moskowitz pivoted to the chaos happening outside the hearing room, the conspiracy wildfire spreading online. Claims that a major conservative influencer had been taken out by foreign intelligence. Rumors that the FBI fabricated evidence. Assertions from commentators that dialogue from a high-profile case was manufactured. Unverified claims repeated by influencers with massive audiences. Bots pushing outrage nonstop. Foreign actors stoking division. And some of these theories directly involve Kash Patel. Claims about his personal life, his actions, his decisions, none of it verified, all of it viral. Moskowitz pointed out that this chaos grows when institutions don't provide clarity. When answers are vague or contradictory, the online world fills the gaps with whatever narrative feels most dramatic. Confusion becomes suspicion. Suspicion becomes certainty. Certainty becomes a weapon. And the public, caught in the middle, can't tell what's real or not. But the most important part of all of this, the survivors, the individuals who lived through Epstein's abuse, who tried to speak out, who begged law enforcement for help, who were ignored for decades. Their voices have been overshadowed by politics, arguments, conspiracies, and talk show theatrics. So when Patel now says 0 names, it hits differently. Because survivors have long said Epstein didn't operate alone. They spoke about visitors, associates, enablers. These are their claims, and proven, but repeated for years. To them, contradictions aren't political, they're painful. Every reversed narrative feels like another dismissal. Every inconsistent answer sounds like another cover. Every political fight pushes justice further out of reach. And the more the story is twisted into a partisan weapon, the further survivors are pushed aside. By the time Moskowitz finished questioning Patel, the room felt heavier. Because he didn't just reveal inconsistencies, he revealed how political convenience shapes which truths get attention. Why did Patel help hype the idea of a list, only to now insist it never existed? Why were binders teased publicly, only to be labeled fiction now? Why did officials once claim the files were on a desk, while Patel now says there was never anything to reveal? Why was a potentially forged document treated as an afterthought until forced onto the record? And most importantly, if accountability depends on who's involved, is it accountability at all? The Epstein scandal is bigger than one man. It's about systems that failed, institutions that ignored warnings, networks of influence that protected power, investigations that stopped too early, secrets that still linger. And every time Patel shifts the narrative or dismisses contradictions, public trust erodes even further. Because justice cannot exist where truth bends to politics. This hearing didn't answer the big questions. It didn't unlock the files. It didn't solve the contradictions. But it revealed this: the official story is inconsistent. The public narrative has been contradictory. And the country is being asked to believe 2 different realities at once. One where the files existed, and one where they never did. One where binders were discussed, and one where they were imaginary. One where forged documents are a national emergency, and one where investigating them barely matters. Until these contradictions are addressed with transparency, no spin, no hesitation, the public will keep asking Moskowitz's central question: what are we not being told? If you want transparency, if you believe survivors deserve real answers, and if you think justice shouldn't depend on politics or convenience, stay with this story. More hearings are coming. More contradictions will surface. More pressure will build. And sooner or later, the truth, whatever it is, will break through. Make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next deep dive into the testimonies, hearings, and revelations still unfolding. Your voice matters, and together, we'll keep pushing for answers.